In this modern world filled with noise, chaos, and constant worries, perhaps each of us has, at some point, felt as though we are being swept away by the unrelenting current of anxiety and stress. Our minds are often scattered, life feels like a never-ending series of challenges, and we search for a way out. But have you ever wondered if those moments of suffering, worry, and exhaustion are actually valuable lessons, helping us grow and transcend ourselves? Buddhism, with its profound philosophy, is not merely a path to seek peace, but also a way for us to understand ourselves, master our minds, and transform our lives. In this video, we will explore the deep teachings of Buddhism, the keys to achieving focus, tranquility, and inner freedom. These are not merely theoretical teachings, but practical methods that can help you change your way of living and your perception of yourself. Let us begin the journey of discovering inner stillness and finding true strength from within. The life of each person is not a series of random events, nor is it a preordained script that we passively accept. Buddhism teaches that everything we experience in the present is the result of causes we have created in the past, and every action we take today is the determining factor of our future. The wheel of karma does not turn blindly, it revolves around our actions, thoughts, and words. By understanding this, we realize that destiny is not something imposed on us from the outside but is the result of decisions we make in every moment. Like a potter shaping clay on a wheel, we have the power to decide the shape of our lives. If we accept this responsibility, we are no longer victims of circumstances but become the creators of our own destiny. Every day, every thought, and every action we take leaves an imprint on the wheel of karma. Negative thoughts, filled with anger, envy, or fear, will create a flow of karma leading to suffering. On the other hand, pure thoughts, compassion, patience, and wisdom will help us build a life of peace. Buddhism teaches that karma is not only shaped by tangible actions but also by our thoughts and words. A person may not directly harm anyone, but if they constantly nurture hatred and jealousy in their hearts, karma still quietly influences their life. Those who live in constant worry, blame, and resentment often feel their lives are full of hardship and injustice. Conversely, those who know how to let go, view problems with wisdom, and do not cling to notions of superiority or inferiority will find that life becomes much lighter. As the mind is, so life will be. We often tend to blame circumstances, fate, or others for the difficulties we encounter. However, this attitude is precisely what prevents us from ever escaping our own suffering. When we blame others or fate, we are relinquishing our own power. We believe that we are victims, that we have no power to change anything, that our lives can only be swept along by what is imposed from the outside. It is this belief that renders us powerless, directionless, and keeps us repeating old mistakes. But if we understand that karma is created by us, we also understand that we have the ability to change it. No one can decide where our life is headed except ourselves, and no one can take responsibility for what has happened but us. When we truly accept this, we find a profound freedom, a freedom not from the outside, but from fully mastering our own destiny. Many may wonder, if karma determines everything, does that mean those born into poverty, illness, or misfortune are merely suffering the consequences of their past lives? Buddhism does not view life in such a simplistic way. Karma is not a system of punishment or reward, but rather a natural chain of cause and effect. Each person is born into a particular circumstance due to many influencing factors, not only from the past but also from the choices they make in the present. A person may be born into poverty, but if they have the will to rise above it, work hard, maintain a pure heart, and help others, their future will change. Conversely, a person may be born into wealth, but if they live selfishly, lazily, and only think of themselves, their karmic force will pull them down, causing them to lose everything they have. The important thing is not where we begin, but how we use what we have to create the future we want. Karma does not only affect individuals, it also impacts the community and society. A society filled with greed, lies, and violence will create an environment of suffering, where people are always living in fear and suspicion of each other. Conversely, a society based on compassion, integrity, and gratitude will be a place where people can grow together and find happiness. This is why change must not only begin with the individual but also requires a change in how we treat one another. If each person understands that their actions not only affect themselves but also the world around them, we will live more responsibly, care for one another, and together build a better environment. Practicing mindfulness is one of the most effective ways to master the wheel of karma. Mindfulness helps us clearly recognize each thought and action, preventing us from being swept away by negative habits and creating bad karma. When we live mindfully, we are aware of what we are doing, saying, and thinking. We no longer act impulsively or based on fleeting emotions, but instead, we can make wiser decisions that benefit both ourselves and others. A person who practices mindfulness will not easily become angry or caught up in negativity, for they are always aware that every action leaves an imprint on the wheel of karma. Another important point to remember is that change cannot happen immediately. Just as a potter cannot create a perfect vase in one attempt, we cannot change our lives with just one decision or isolated action. The process of transforming karma is continuous and requires patience and persistent effort. Small daily changes, if maintained over time, will make a huge difference. If we begin with simple things like maintaining a clear mind, not harming others, living truthfully, and being generous, we will gradually see our lives improve. Buddhism does not teach us to abandon everything and search for happiness in some distant place. Happiness does not come from the outside but from the way we live and the way we perceive everything. When we understand that we are the ones who hold the wheel of karma, we will no longer feel helpless or fearful of life. Instead, we will have the wisdom and courage to shape our destiny in the direction we desire. And this is the true meaning of freedom. The life of a human being is an unceasing journey, where we are continually faced with choices, change, and growth. Without clear direction, we can easily be swept away by the whirlpool of worries, temptations, and fleeting desires. Much like a bridge crossing a fast-flowing river, right intention serves as the solid foundation that allows us to step safely to the shore of tranquility, instead of being carried away by the flow into the unknown. Buddhism emphasizes that right intention is one of the core components of the Noble Eightfold Path, the path to liberation and lasting happiness. When our intentions are unclear, our actions and thoughts become misdirected, leading to an unsteady and uncontrollable life. But when we establish a clear right intention, every aspect of our life becomes more balanced and meaningful. Right intention is not merely about whimsical wishes or fleeting goals set in the moment. It is not about selfish ambitions or blind pursuit of material wealth, it is about a clear determination of one's direction in life, based on true understanding of life and its underlying principles. A right intention is always based on three key elements: the renunciation of attachment and desire, the cultivation of compassion, and the commitment to harmlessness. Renouncing attachment does not mean rejecting life or practicing extreme asceticism, but rather letting go of our attachment to fleeting things, understanding that true happiness does not come from possession but from understanding and release. When our minds constantly yearn for things beyond our reach, we fall into the endless cycle of dissatisfaction and restlessness. Conversely, when we know what is enough and cherish what we have, we can truly find peace. This does not mean abandoning effort or setting goals in life, but recognizing that goals must be guided by wisdom, not by greed. Compassion is a vital factor in establishing right intention. When we live with the intention of helping, loving, and benefiting others, we not only create a meaningful life for ourselves, but also foster a positive environment around us. A person with right intention will not be caught up in actions that harm others for personal gain, but will always seek to develop in ways that benefit the community. This is exemplified in Buddhism through the practice of the Bodhisattva path, living for the benefit of all beings. The final element of right intention is harmlessness. In life, there are times when we unintentionally cause harm to others due to thoughtlessness or wrong decisions. When we are always mindful of the consequences of our actions and place the well-being of others above our personal gain, we will gradually eliminate actions that cause harm. Right intention is not only the desire to live well, but also a true commitment to act in the right way, avoiding harm to anyone, whether through speech, action, or thought. Without clear intention, one is easily led astray by misguided goals, illusions of happiness, or temporary desires. A person may think that financial success will bring happiness. But without right intention, they may become greedy, selfish, and lose their moral values. Another person may believe that receiving love from others will make them happy, but if that love is based on possession, control, or dependence, it will soon become a source of suffering. The difference between those who succeed in spiritual life and those who remain mired in suffering does not lie in external circumstances, but in whether they have right intention. When we know clearly what we want, what we live for, and which path leads to true happiness, we will not be swayed by external temptations or the fluctuations of life. A person with right intention will know how to persevere, be patient, and remain steadfast in all situations, for they are no longer governed by transient things. But how can we establish a right intention in life? First, we need to take time to reflect and ask ourselves, what truly brings happiness to me? This question should not be answered with shallow desires like wealth, fame, or love, but with deeper consideration. True happiness does not come from the outside but from inner peace. When we understand this, we will no longer set our goals based on fleeting factors but on solid values such as understanding, compassion, and inner development. One important method to strengthen right intention is the practice of mindfulness. When we are mindful, we are always aware of our thoughts, words, and actions, not allowing ourselves to be swept away by blind ambition or negative emotions. Mindfulness helps us recognize when we are veering off course, when we are clouded by temporary desires, and thus we can return to the right path. In addition, we must have patience and diligence in maintaining our intention. The path is not always smooth, and there will be times when it is hard to keep our minds clear. There will be moments when we feel doubt, exhaustion, or the desire to give up, but it is precisely during those times that we need to remember why we started. All change requires time, and what matters is that we do not give up along the way. Buddhism does not teach us to live in extreme austerity or renounce everything to seek enlightenment, but to live consciously, responsibly, and with direction. When we have right intention, we will no longer feel that our life passes meaninglessly or is trapped in the repeating cycles of suffering. Instead, we will see each day as a step forward on the path to happiness and enlightenment. We are no longer boats drifting aimlessly in the water, but rather, we become the steadfast captains of our own lives, guiding ourselves to the shore of peace. The human mind, if left untrained, is like an unrefined piece of iron, soft, easily bent by external forces, and of little practical value. Yet, when placed in the forge, heated in red-hot flames, and hammered through thousands of strikes, it becomes a sharp, strong, and resilient sword, ready to face any challenge. The forge of self-creation is the place where we temper ourselves, where our willpower, determination, and discipline are tested and shaped day by day. Without discipline and diligent effort, the mind will remain weak, easily swayed by fleeting desires, fears, and laziness. Buddhism teaches us that suffering is an inevitable part of life. However, what is more important is how we face suffering. Most people, when confronted with difficulties, often seek ways to avoid, complain, or blame their circumstances. Yet, this resistance only deepens their suffering. In contrast, those who accept reality, face challenges with a proactive attitude, and patiently train themselves can transform suffering into inner strength. For instance, someone may desire good health but refuses to exercise, avoid proper diet, and merely hopes for an easy method to achieve a healthy body. They do not accept the fact that to have a strong body, they must train every day, face fatigue, and even endure pain. Similarly, to have a strong mind, one cannot simply wish for it, one must embrace the arduous process of training. Buddhism does not teach us to avoid suffering but to face it with wisdom. When we learn to accept and use suffering as a means to grow, we will realize that every challenge in life is a valuable lesson that helps us evolve spiritually. Without discipline, no achievement can be reached. But discipline is not something imposed from the outside, it must arise from internal self-awareness. Buddhism emphasizes the element of effort, the continuous striving to maintain the right path. A person may have grand dreams, a desire to change themselves, but without the discipline to act every day, those dreams will remain mere fanciful thoughts. In modern life, discipline is incredibly important but easily forgotten. The development of technology has caused people to lose control over themselves. One may spend hours scrolling through their phone without realizing they are wasting time on things that do not provide true value. These habits not only waste time but also disturb the mind, reduce focus, and weaken it further. A strong mind is not merely rigid, it is also wise. A person may have strong willpower, but without wisdom, they can still be led down wrong paths. Wisdom in Buddhism is not just understanding the world, it is the ability to see through the essence of all things and phenomena, unaffected by emotions or prejudices. To develop wisdom, one needs to practice the ability to observe, reflect, and think deeply. A person who does not train their intellect will be easily swayed by emotions, believe in baseless things, and be influenced by the words of others without a clear opinion of their own. Buddhism emphasizes meditation as a method for developing wisdom. Through meditation, we learn to observe our thoughts, recognize negative emotions, and not let them control us. Meditation helps the mind become calm, clear, and able to view things more objectively. A strong mind is not a rigid one, it is flexible, capable of adapting to all circumstances without losing its essential nature. One of the greatest obstacles in self-training is stagnation and laziness. This is the most dangerous enemy, as it not only hinders progress but also traps one in a cycle of dissatisfaction and despair. Laziness is not simply the absence of work, it is the stagnation of the mind when a person loses motivation to learn, explore, or develop themselves. They sink into passivity, constantly seeking easy ways to satisfy their needs without wanting to face difficulties. The only way to overcome stagnation is through action. There is no need for giant steps, it suffices to take small steps each day. A person who wants to read but keeps procrastinating can begin by reading for 5 minutes a day. A person who wants to exercise but always makes excuses can start with simple exercises. When these small actions are consistently maintained, they become habits, and gradually, stagnation will disappear. Buddhism teaches that all change begins with small actions. When a person knows how to control their habits, they will control their life. Finally, the goal of self-training is not to become a perfect person, but to become one who masters themselves. Mastery does not mean controlling everything outside, it means controlling one's mind, not being swayed by negative emotions, not being affected by meaningless things, and always maintaining calmness and clarity in all situations. When a person can master their mind, they will no longer feel dissatisfied with life, because they understand that everything is within their own choice. They will no longer blame their circumstances but will know how to use them for personal growth. The forge of self-creation is not an easy place to enter, but once we accept the path of self-discipline, we will gradually find ourselves becoming stronger, wiser, and no longer swept away by the trivialities of life. This is the path to true freedom, freedom from within, when we are no longer bound by our own weak minds. The discipline of an archer lies not only in skill but also in the cultivation of the inner self. When holding the bow, the archer does not only face an external target, but also faces their own mind. A restless, undisciplined mind will cause the arrow to veer off course. In contrast, when the mind is trained, the will is steadfast, and the focus is deep, each shot carries meaning, and every action leads to a worthy result. In Buddhism, concentration and discipline are not restrictive, but rather tools for attaining liberation. The Buddha taught that one cannot achieve wisdom without discipline and persistence. Much like an archer, if one does not maintain the correct posture, fail to practice enough, or adjust every detail, they will never attain precision in their aim. In life, if we do not cultivate discipline as a habit, we will be swept away by the current of distraction, lose control, and fail to achieve our desired goals. An important aspect of the archer's discipline is the ability to maintain focus on the target. Those lacking discipline are often distracted by temporary temptations, working for a while and then stopping, easily giving up when faced with challenges. But someone with discipline knows that goals cannot be achieved overnight. They require perseverance and incremental progress, much like the precision required in every movement of an archer's shot. In modern life, distraction has become a serious issue. The proliferation of technology, social media, and the endless flow of information are causing people to lose the ability to focus. Many people spend hours scrolling through their phones, unaware that they are wasting precious time. Just like an archer distracted in the middle of a shot, we, too, are being pulled away by countless trivial matters, causing our minds to weaken and lose the necessary focus to achieve important goals in life. One of the most effective ways to cultivate discipline and focus is through the practice of meditation. Meditation helps us return to ourselves, bringing calm to the mind and preventing it from being swept away by confusion. A person who can focus during meditation will also be able to focus in their work, studies, and all aspects of life. However, discipline is not just about maintaining focus, it also involves the consistency of good habits every day. A skilled archer is not one who can focus only for a brief moment but one who trains daily, repeating the process, never giving up even when tired or discouraged. Similarly, if we wish to succeed in any field, we must maintain the right habits, waking up on time, working with purpose, allocating time for study, and dedicating time for personal development. Discipline is not something born of external coercion, it is a conscious training. When we understand that good habits bring good results and disciplined actions lead us to success, we will willingly follow discipline without feeling pressured. Looking more broadly, the discipline of the archer is also demonstrated in the ability to let go when necessary. A skilled archer does not cling to each arrow that has been shot. If an arrow misses the mark, they do not become angry or discouraged, but simply adjust and shoot again. In life, we too must learn to do the same. Sometimes we fail, but what matters is not where we went wrong, but how we learn from our mistakes, adjust ourselves, and continue on the path ahead. Successful people are not those who have never failed but those who know how to rise each time they stumble. Buddhism teaches that life is inevitably filled with difficulties, but if we can maintain persistence, uphold discipline, and adjust our course, we will always be able to achieve our goals. The discipline of the archer is a symbol of relentless training, unwavering focus, and the ability to stand strong in the face of challenges. If we can apply this spirit to our daily lives, we will undoubtedly find success, peace, and true happiness. Serenity is not indifference, nor is it an escape from reality. It is a state of mind that remains steady amidst the fluctuations of life, unshaken by the waves of joy and sorrow, success and failure, or the highs and lows of competition. In Buddhist teachings, this state is known as upek, one of the four immeasurable minds, matri, karu, mudita, upek. This is not detachment or indifference to the world, but a profound wisdom that sees through the impermanence of all things, thereby maintaining inner balance. The river of life flows endlessly, and we are the ones swimming in it. Those without wisdom cling to drifting logs, trying to control each wave or flail against the current. But no matter how hard they try, they cannot master the river. In contrast, the wise person knows how to adjust themselves to the flow of the water, understanding that some things cannot be changed, and the only thing they can control is themselves. Such a person is not overwhelmed by temporary suffering or fleeting pleasure, but maintains a calm and serene mind. Buddhism emphasizes the three things that humans can truly control: the breath, effort, and ethics. The breath is the gateway that connects the body and mind, helping us maintain peace in every moment. Effort is the deciding factor in whether we make progress on the path of practice. Ethics are the foundation that keeps the mind undisturbed by selfish desires or unnecessary anxieties. When we focus on these three elements, our minds are no longer swayed by external factors beyond our control. Modern life is full of pressures and turbulence. Every day, people face numerous challenges: stressful work, complicated relationships, and the overwhelming flood of negative news. Many are caught in a cycle of worry, fear, desire, and conflict without realizing that they are the ones creating their own suffering. They place their happiness in external things, and when those things change, their minds are also shaken. A person who places happiness in wealth will suffer when they lose money. A person who places joy in fame will despair when forgotten by others. But if we know how to turn inward and cultivate serenity from within, then no matter how the world changes, our minds remain undisturbed. Serenity does not arise from suppressing emotions or avoiding reality, but from a deep understanding of the nature of all things. The Buddha taught that all phenomena are impermanent, that nothing lasts forever. When we truly understand this, we no longer cling to temporary things, nor do we become confused by sudden changes. We are no longer carried away by negative emotions such as anger, jealousy, or anxiety, but we learn to keep our minds calm and clear like the still surface of a pond. In autumn, a person with serenity is not someone without emotions, but someone who knows how to master their emotions. They still experience joy, but they are not attached to it. They still face suffering, but they do not allow it to overwhelm them. They understand that all emotions are like ripples on the water's surface. They come and go, nothing is permanent. When something unfavorable happens, instead of reacting hastily or letting the mind fall into unrest, they know to return to their breath, accept the reality, and adjust themselves wisely. Meditation is a crucial method for training serenity. When we meditate, we learn to observe the breath, to watch our thoughts and emotions without being swept away by them. we realize that all thoughts come and go, and all emotions arise and fade. When the mind no longer clings to the endless stream of thoughts, it becomes still and clear. A person who regularly practices meditation will gradually attain serenity even in the most difficult situations. In addition to meditation, practicing mindfulness in daily life is also a way to cultivate serenity. Mindfulness is the ability to live fully in the present moment, not pulled by the past or the future. When eating, we eat, fully savoring the taste of the food. When working, we work, not letting the mind wander into other thoughts. When conversing, we listen to others sincerely, without judgment or subjective opinions clouding our minds. Mindfulness helps us see things as they truly are, without adding or distorting, without overreacting. Through this, the mind becomes calm and steady, able to face any situation. Another important factor in attaining serenity is learning to let go. Many people suffer not because of their circumstances, but because they refuse to let go of what has passed. They cling to regrets about the past, worries about the future, or unnecessary grudges. But the more they hold on, the more exhausted and miserable they become. It is like someone holding a hot coal in their hand. The tighter they grip it, the more it burns. When we understand that everything in life comes and goes in its own time, we learn to accept and let go gently. Serenity is not a state that can be attained immediately, but a continuous process of training. It requires right understanding, the practice of mindfulness, meditation, and the ability to let go. When we no longer seek control over external circumstances but learn to master ourselves, we become the riverbank that remains firm, unshaken by the currents of life. And when the mind is steady, no matter how life changes, we can smile and continue walking the path before us with tranquility. Suffering is an inevitable reality in the life of every human being. From birth to death, we all face challenges, losses, and moments that seem to drown the very soul. But what truly matters is not how many hardships we encounter, but how we face them. In Buddhism, suffering is not seen as an absolute negative, rather, it is the material from which wisdom is cultivated, helping one to gain deeper understanding of the true nature of life. The Buddha taught that life is suffering, but not to inspire despair, but rather to make us realize that suffering is a natural part of human existence. We cannot avoid loss, separation, or the unexpected changes of life. However, this does not mean we must remain forever trapped in suffering. In fact, it is during the most painful moments that one has the opportunity to realize the impermanence of the world, and from this insight, find a path to liberation. One of the key teachings in Buddhism is the distinction between pain and suffering. Pain is unavoidable: losing a loved one, being betrayed, failing in one's endeavors. These are events that naturally occur. But suffering is the way we react to those events. If we blame fate, torment ourselves, and dwell in sadness without letting go, that is suffering. On the other hand, if we accept the pain, view it as a lesson, and use it as motivation for growth, then the pain is no longer negative but becomes an opportunity for wisdom to arise. Consider the image of the phoenix, a mythical bird that is reborn from the flames. The phoenix does not fear the fire, for it knows that each time it burns, it is reborn stronger. Humans are the same. Major events in life may cause us pain, but they can also change the way we view the world, helping us become more resilient and profound. A perfect example is the life of the Buddha. Before his awakening, he was Prince Siddhartha, living in a palace of gold and jewels, unaware of the suffering of the world. But when he witnessed birth, aging, illness, and death, he began to realize the true nature of life. Had the prince not experienced the pain of seeing the impermanence of human existence, he might not have renounced his throne to seek the truth. It was the painful experiences that became the driving force behind his journey to enlightenment. In modern life, people often have the tendency to run away from pain. When we face sorrow, we turn to temporary distractions like social media, movies, alcohol, or fleeting relationships to fill the emptiness inside. But these are only temporary solutions that cannot heal the wounds. If we continue to avoid, the pain will never be resolved, it will only settle temporarily, waiting to flare up even stronger. Buddhism teaches that instead of running away, we should face the pain directly. One of the most effective methods to do this is through mindfulness. In mindfulness practice, we learn to observe our emotions objectively, without judgment or avoidance. If we are sad, we simply recognize, I am sad. If we are angry, we observe, this anger is arising. When we do this, we realize that emotions are like clouds in the sky, they come and go, nothing lasts forever. Once we understand this, we no longer let emotions control us or become trapped in the cycle of suffering. Furthermore, another way to transform pain into wisdom is through cultivating compassion. In times of suffering, we often think only of ourselves, feeling that life is unfair or that we are alone. But when we open our hearts and think of others, we realize that we are not alone. Everyone has their own suffering, everyone is struggling with their own difficulties. When we place ourselves in others' shoes, we no longer see ourselves as the center of the universe, but as part of the vast world around us. Compassion allows us to see the interconnectedness of all beings, and this understanding soothes our own pain. A concrete example of this is the story of a mother who lost her child during the time of the Buddha. She was so overcome with grief that she could not accept the death of her child. She ran to the Buddha, pleading for him to bring her child back to life. The Buddha told her to go to every house in the village and find a mustard seed from a family that had never experienced loss. The mother searched everywhere but could not find a family that had never lost a loved one. In the end, she realized that suffering is something everyone must face, not just herself. This realization helped her let go of her pain and find peace in her heart. Every challenge in life can be a lesson if we know how to view it correctly. When we fail, instead of blaming ourselves or our circumstances, we can ask, what is this failure teaching me? When we are betrayed, we can ask, how can I grow stronger from this experience? Every challenge is an opportunity for growth. If we can learn to be grateful even for the things we do not want, we will no longer see life as a series of misfortunes, but as a journey full of meaning. Pain is not an enemy to be defeated, but a teacher that helps us grow. When we learn to view it correctly, we will no longer fear the upheavals of life, but will use those very challenges to train the mind and cultivate wisdom. Just as the phoenix is reborn from the ashes, each time we stumble, it is an opportunity for us to become stronger, wiser, and closer to the path of enlightenment. Focus is one of the most essential qualities for achieving success and peace in life. In a world full of distractions, it is easy for people to be swept away by trivial matters, losing their direction and forsaking core values. Yet, like a lighthouse that does not chase after the ships but stands firm, casting its light, each person must learn to remain steady amidst the ebb and flow of life, knowing what is important and directing their energy towards it. Focus is not simply the ability to direct one's mind to a single task, but also a conscious choice of what deserves our attention. Many people claim to be busy, but in truth, they only fill their time with trivial matters that offer no real value. To live a meaningful life, we must prioritize what is truly important and eliminate distractions. In Buddhism, focus is not only regarded as a skill to be cultivated, but also a path towards enlightenment. One of the 8 components of the Noble Eightfold Path is right concentration, which refers to the ability to focus deeply without being disturbed by useless thoughts or fluctuating emotions. The Buddha taught that when the mind is drawn into too many things at once, it becomes chaotic, like a calm lake disturbed by continuous winds. Only when the mind becomes still can we see things clearly. Distractions in modern life come not only from the external world, but also from within each of us. We are caught up in worries, fleeting thoughts, regrets about the past, and fears about the future. But in reality, nothing truly exists outside of the present moment. When the mind is divided between the past and the future, we cannot fully enjoy the present moment, we cannot work effectively, and more importantly, we cannot experience true peace. The Zen approach emphasizes simplicity and mindfulness in every moment. Even the smallest action, when done with complete focus, can become a practice of mindfulness. When drinking tea, just drink tea, savoring its taste, temperature, and the peace it brings. When walking, just walk, feeling each step, each breath. When working, just work, not allowing other thoughts to intrude. This is the way to train concentration and to live fully in each moment. Many people think that focusing means doing more, but in truth, proper focus means doing less but doing it with meaning. Look at the life of a Zen master. They do not try to cram too many things into one day, but focus only on what is most important. Their day may revolve around meditation, mindful eating, and simple tasks like sweeping the yard or cooking, yet it is precisely this simplicity that brings about the highest awareness and effectiveness. In our daily lives, we can apply this principle by setting clear priorities. Ask yourself, what is truly important to me? What will bring lasting value rather than just temporary satisfaction? Once you have identified what is important, dedicate your full focus to it and eliminate unnecessary things. One effective way to cultivate focus is to practice daily meditation. Just spending 5 to 10 minutes each day sitting still, observing the breath, will sharpen your mind and reduce distractions. Advanced meditation masters may maintain focus for hours, but even beginners can experience noticeable benefits after some practice. In addition to meditation, another way to cultivate focus is by practicing doing one thing at a time. In the age of technology, people are increasingly inclined to multitask, eating while checking their phones, working while checking messages, chatting while thinking about other tasks. However, the truth is that the human brain cannot truly focus on multiple things at once. When we try to multitask, we only reduce our effectiveness and cause our minds to become more chaotic. Another important principle is learning to say no to things that are not important. If something does not bring you closer to your goals, confidently reject it. This may be difficult at first, but in the long run, it will save you a great deal of time and energy. An effective strategy is to create an environment free of distractions. If you need to focus on work, eliminate distractions, turn off phone notifications, tidy your workspace, and set aside uninterrupted time for your tasks. Focus not only helps us work more efficiently, but also enables us to live a more meaningful life. When we dedicate our time and mind to what is truly important, such as cultivating ourselves, building deep relationships, and contributing to valuable causes, we will no longer see life as a series of meaningless tasks, but as a journey full of purpose. Just like a lighthouse does not chase after ships but only shines to guide the way, each person must find their own clear direction and remain steadfast in it. When we know how to focus on what is truly important, we will no longer be swept away by external distractions, but will remain steady on our path. When we step out of the door of anxieties, seeking stillness in our minds, each day becomes an opportunity for deeper self-understanding. The teachings of Buddhism are not distant principles, but practices that help us live meaningfully, to understand and master our own lives. In a world full of distractions, when we grasp the power of focus and inner peace, we not only find tranquility but also shape our lives in a complete and fulfilling way. Certainly, if you dare to apply these principles, step by step, day by day, your life will no longer be tossed about by worries or events beyond your control. You will become the master of yourself, free from burdens, and find liberation in every breath, every decision. Remember that peace is not something to be searched for, but is something that has always existed within you. Continue this journey, one step at a time, for each step brings you closer to liberation.